invited to remain seated during the reading. If this is your first time doing this, that's great. We will be reading the whole story of what will be happening during Holy Week. You are invited to participate in this if you wish. You are being invited to read the parts written in bold. Thank you. The Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to St. Matthew. One of the 12, who was called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said,
"What will you give me if I betray Jesus to you?"
They paid him 30 pieces of silver, and from that moment he began to look for an opportunity to betray him. On that first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, and Jesus told the disciples,
"Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, Jesus says, my time is near. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples."
So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them, and they prepared the Passover meal. While they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it and gave it to the disciples and said,
"Take, eat, this is my body."
Then he took the cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying,
"Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sin. I tell you, I will never again drink of this fruit of the vine, until that day when I drink it, you with you, in my Father's kingdom."
When they had sung the hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them,
"You will all become Israelites, because of you, right? For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. After I am raised up, I will go ahead of you to Galilee."
Peter said to him,
"Through we can desert because we knew. I will never desert you."
Jesus said to him,
"Surely, I tell you, this very night before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times."
Peter said to him,
"Even though I must die with you, I will not deny you."
and so said all the disciples. Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples,
"Sit here while I go there and pray."
He took with him Peter and 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be grieved and agitated. Then he said to them,
"I am deeply grieved even today. Remain here and stay away with me."
And going a little further, he threw himself on the ground and prayed,
"My Lord, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want."
Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter,
"So, could you not stay away with me 1 hour? Stay away, and pray that you may not come into time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak."
Again he went away for the second time and prayed,
"My Father, if this cannot pass unless I can eat, you will be done."
Again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for a 3rd time, saying the same words. Then he came to the disciples and said to them,
"Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hand of sinners. Get up, let us be going. See, my betrayal is at hand."
While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying,
"The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him."
At once he came up to Jesus and said,
"Greetings,
said to him,
Friend, do what you're here to do.
Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and arrested him. And all the disciples deserted him and fled. Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas the high priest, in whose house the scribes and elders had gathered. And Peter was following him at a distance. Now the chief priests and the whole council were looking for false testimony against Jesus, so they might put him to death. But they found none. At last, two came forward and said, The high priest stood up and said,
Have you no answer? What is it that they testify against you?
You have said so, but I hear. From now, all you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming to clouds of heaven.
Then the high priest tore his clothes and said,
He has blasphemed. Why do we still need witnesses? You have now heard his blasphemy. What is your verdict?
They answered, He deserves death. Then they spat in his face and struck him, and some slapped him, saying, Prophesy to us, you Messiah. Who is it that struck you? Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. A servant girl came to him and said,
You also were with Jesus the Galilean.
But he denied it before all of them, saying,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Then he went out to the porch. Another servant girl saw him, and she said to the bystanders,
This man was with Jesus of Nazareth.
Again he denied it with an oath.
I do not know the man.
After a little while the bystanders came up and said to Peter,
Sadly, you are also one of them, for your accent betrayed you.
Then he began to curse, and he swore an oath.
I do not know the man.
At that moment, the cock crowed. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had said.
Before the cock crows, you will stand 3 times.
And he went out and wept bitterly. When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people were conferring together against Jesus in order to bring him to death. They bound him and led him away and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him,
Are you the king of the Jews?
Jesus said,
You say so.
But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he did not answer. And Pilate said to him,
Do you not hear how many accusations they make against you?
But he gave him no answer, not even a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas. So after they gathered, Pilate said to them,
Whom do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?
And they said, Barabbas. Pilate said to them,
Then what should I do with Jesus who is called the Messiah?
all of them said, Then he asked,
Why? What evil has he done?
but they all shouted all the more. So he released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, handed him over to be crucified. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, They spat on him. They took the reed and struck him on the head. After mocking him, they stripped him of his robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. As they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon. They compelled this man to carry cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his clothes among themselves by casting lots. Then they sat down there and kept watch over him. Over his head they put the charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then 2 bandits were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." The bandits who were crucified with him also taunted him in the same way. From noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice.
Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani.
That is,
My God, why have you forsaken me?
then Jesus cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many of the bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. After his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city and appeared to many. Now when the centurion saw those with him, who were keeping watch over Jesus, and saw the earthquake and what took place, they were terrified and said,
Truly, this man was God's son.
Many women were also there looking on from a distance, but they had followed Jesus from Galilee and had provided for him. Among them were Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. When it was evening, there was a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was also a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be given to him. So Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn in the rock. Then he rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were there, sitting opposite the tomb. The next day, that is, after the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember what the impostor said when he was alive. After 3 days I will rise again. Therefore command the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise his disciples may go and steal him away and tell the people, 'He has been raised from the dead.' And the last deception would be worse than the first." Pilate said to them,
You have a guard of soldiers, go, make it as secure as you can.
So they went with the guard and made the stone secure, the tomb secure by sealing the stone. Here ends the reading of the Gospel of our